Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1980s.
Dan, I'm dead. Please bury me. Oh, God.
This is episode 276,
Woof.
recorded January 10th, 2025.
Gruesome Magazine.
That was a better read than Melody Anderson, Crystal.
Yeah.
So bad. I'm just like, I'll be honest with you. That was one part of the movie I was like, God, this is the reason I remember it so much, because I was like, this is so bad. Like, there's like
you needed some
there.
vermiculite to pull over your face.
Yeah.
All right.
But as Gregory pointed out, she is dead.
She is dead. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
She be dead.
Yep.
I am your host, and my name is Jeff Mohr, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1980 and 1989. Each episode, my co-hosts Bill Mulligan, Crystal Cleveland, Chad Hunt, and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this radical, gory, influential, and gruesome decade. Joining me tonight is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead girl, actress, and YouTuber. How you doing, Crystal?
I'm great. We got snow today, so I got a heated blanket and everything. It's cold, so that's fun.
Oh wow, it was like 70 here. Yeah.
Oh, we got like 5 or 6 inches of snow. It was a lot,
wow.
actually. So still pretty cold. That's
quite a
35.
bit. That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
And also with us is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, and published author.
Yeah.
For decades of horror.
Yeah.
How you doing, Bill?
Rum. Well, we heard that there was snow in Atlanta, so they canceled school halfway through the day.
Oh,
didn't-
most of them were canceled, like
Yeah.
preemptively, but I
We
guess
got out
they-
at 12:30, and I took a nice nap. We
That's
have gotten
nice.
some sleep, but
It snows in Georgia. North Carolina closes school.
Yep.
Oh,
that's how it rolls.
yeah. Even just the idea of snow.
Oh,
the
just the
thought.
thought of snow. Yeah.
Amateurs.
Yeah.
Also with us
That's true.
is Chad. Can't be here today.
Oh yeah.
But we do expect him back next episode. He's missing the first recording of 2025. Oh well. I know he wishes he was here, but substituting is Gregory Crosby, the Decades of Horror poet laureate from New York. How you doing, Gregory?
I'm doing excellent. We had a lovely dusting of 2 inches of snow, which is just the right amount to enjoy the
That's
snow.
nice.
However, we then had several days of bitter wind chill cold,
Oh yeah.
which I like because I'm a freak.
I like it.
I understand others are not such fans of. So everything is as well as can be expected here in the terrifying year of 2025.
Yeah. And terrifying it is. We want to throw a shout out to our friends in LA that we have, at least the ones we have heard from, Jeff Farley, Dirk Rogers, Bill's got a good friend there that are survived. Crystal has a friend that didn't do so well, that lost their house. And so to all our listeners there, our heart goes out to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. That's such
Not a good start for the year.
And the weird thing is I watched a documentary on the fires in Hawaii Tuesday night, and then wake up Wednesday morning and go, "What the?" It was the exact same thing. So anyway, be safe, and we're thinking of you.
Yeah.
All right, Decades of Horror partners with Play Now Media, and Decades of Horror, the 1980s, is on the Wicked Horror TV channel. They got lots of good movies there. And they have given us a promo code. So if you want to, for first-time subscribers and for people, you have to register on their website in order to get this. You can use the promo code DOH80, all caps, 80. And you will get 20% off your first payment. So if you sign up for a monthly fee, which is $6.99, you will get $1.40 off your first month. But if you sign up for an annual fee, which is $49.99, you will get $10 off your first month, or $9.99, however that rounds out. But that's a heck of a good deal. And it's also good on classic sci-fi movies and classic horror movies channels. So any place you want to use those. We watch a lot of movies from those.
Yeah, it's wicked. Wicked.
Spoiler alert, we're going to spoil this. If you haven't seen this movie,
Oh.
well, what the heck is wrong? You need to go check it out. What we do here is first we'll give you some details of the movie, then first impressions, then taglines, then miscellaneous details, and of course, we will get some tangentials somewhere down the line, without a doubt. So our movie, and this is a double tap, an old 80s Grue Crew consisting of Doc, Thomas Mariani, Christopher G. Mohr, and the Black Saint
Take that out.
covered this 8 years ago. So you should check that out. It's a pretty good one, and it's available on the website. I don't think you can get it on podcast apps anymore, but if you go to the website, you'll find it. Go back 8 years. So our movie today is Dead and Buried, and I just, welcome to Potter's Bluff, a new way of life.
Yep.
Issued in 1981, released, directed by Gary Sherman, written by Ronald, Shusett, and Dan O'Bannon, and we'll have some stuff to say about that.
Right.
The cast includes James Ferrantino, Melody Anderson, Jack Albertson, Lisa Blount, Robert Englund, Lisa Marie, Barry Corbin, Michael Pataki, Bill Quinn, Christopher Allport, Linda Turley Shusett. The production company is, this is so weird, but anyway, Aspen Productions and Barclays Mercantile Industrial Finance. Distributed by Avco Embassy Pictures, filmed mostly in Mendocino, California, which is north of San Francisco. But there was also the big Victorian house the sheriff had. Maybe it was the old house. One of the houses was in L.A., and then they did some studio stuff in West Hollywood. Filmed February 12th to April 3rd, 1980. Released October 9th, 1981, and there's like half a dozen U.S. release dates. I don't know what the deal was. Going clear back to like May. So they sat on this film for a while before it got a countrywide release. Budget about $3 million estimated. Box office, not so hot so. 216,166 on IMDb, but Ultimate Movie Rankings gave it 600,000. So I'm not exactly sure why that difference. The synopsis: Sheriff Dan Gillis investigates eerie deaths in a sleepy coastal town.
Yep.
And that is true.
I suspect this made money on VHS.
Oh, I think over the years it's made money.
And
it was
in all the stores. So
I threw this one into because Michael Pataki plays a gravedigger. That's just so cool. Anyway, and he turns out to be the writer producer's wife's uncle.
What? Okay. Oof.
Sure. As you do.
Yeah. So Linda Turley is Ronald Shusett's wife, and she played the waitress with the 40s hairdo. And Michael Pataki is her uncle.
Well, that's cool.
So I wanted to throw a picture of him in. I couldn't find one that wasn't black and white. So there you go.
Well, it is a graveyard scene. All graveyard scenes should be in black and white.
Sure. Well,
yeah,
or at least feel that way. Yeah. So let's go to first impressions, and this is Crystal's pick. So we will let her go first. Hold on.
This is the first time I've seen this. If you
really?
Really?
Yeah.
I'm impressed. And you picked it. Wow.
I thought I had seen it before, but I was wrong.
It sounds like you would have seen it.
Yeah. As I started watching it, I was like, I've never seen this before, like ever. Okay, so I gotta say something first. Is it weird that like the lead actor kind of reminds me of like Jim Carrey at times? Does anyone see that?
I could see that.
Like, yeah, I was like, that's so weird.
In some
Just like
alternate universe, Crystal, there's like this is a pure horror comedy, and that's absolutely Jim Carrey as the
I
sheriff.
mean, I know he
Yeah.
looks nothing like him, but he has this part of his face or
Well,
something that, yeah, and it was
The
weird.
guy,
I was
the,
like,
the
whoa,
burned up guy in the car reminded me of Jim Carrey from.
Oh yeah, Fire Marshal Bill.
that's funny.
Actually, the photographer at the beginning of the movie, he had a little bit of Tom Berenger.
Hmm.
Did he not?
Oh,
Did he not
okay.
have a little
Yeah.
tinge of Tom
Sure.
Berenger in his demeanor?
It's hard to remember Tom Berenger because he didn't do too much.
Yes.
Well,
And there's-
not much that I
Except
saw,
in the
but-
80s.
And there's a guy in this movie who's got a bit role who reminds me a lot of Freddy Krueger. So it's funny how these things.
Ah, bum, bum.
And and his name's not Freddie, but the guy named Freddie does get burned up. So
Yeah.
Oh,
True.
there you go.
Mm.
Wow, it's kind of weird.
Wow,
Yeah,
honestly.
it's all these parallels here.
Mhm.
Okay, so this movie is I obviously I really enjoyed this film. It's weird, like
Mhm.
really weird, and it doesn't make sense. Not really. I mean, it does. It has a story. It has a plot, which is better than a lot of 80s horror films. So, I give it credit there. But his reasoning behind what he's doing really doesn't make sense. Okay. He's crazy. He's a loon.
Yeah, well,
He's a loon. And, I thought the kills were good. There were some special effects that were really good. And then there was one in particular that I remember that was not great. But there was a heart that looked super duper good. And then,
Chris, I have to ask, the one that you didn't think looked great, was it the acid?
yeah, that was
yeah.
it.
Okay.
There's a reason for
yeah,
that.
there's reasons.
That's
There's
the
reasons.
kill
Yeah.
I remembered 40 years
Oh,
later.
okay.
So,
Yeah,
go
that
ahead,
was it.
continue.
Like,
I just had a feeling
they-
that was the one that you were like,
mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
I was
okay.
like, well,
Yeah.
not
Ding,
the
ding, ding,
best
ding, ding.
one.
You win.
So
That was the right one.
yeah, for sure. Like that, because the rest of them are very, very good, especially for this time. And there's a lot of them, so that's nice. A lot of different kills. I mean, the story is just. Oh God, I like the idea of this story so much. And I think that for the 80s, it was executed very well. I always judge 80s movies differently than I do, more modern films, because this would be done in a completely different way now, which is great because we have all this technology. But the story kind of gets lost in this film because because of the 80s. I don't know how they do this in the 80s. They managed to convolute a story
Mhm.
and make it such a mess, but it kind of makes sense and it's good enough and whatever. But I think this should be remade. And that's probably a hot take because people probably love it the way it is. But I think that the story is really cool. And I like the idea and the concept of it. And I think it could be neat. The concern would be that someone would like try to take it too far with the
Mhm.
whole witchcraft thing, and they would try to do too much. I mean, but I think keeping it simpler would be better. But I like the idea of this creepy town of all zombies practically.
Mhm.
I think it's
Yeah.
all zombies.
By the
Yeah.
end, yeah.
Pretty close.
So
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and it's in a weird way, it's kind of sweet what this guy is doing. I mean, she died naturally, considering she drowned and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, he's a villain, but he's not like a villain to me. I mean, the going around killing him is not great, but I mean, I wouldn't want
That's
to
where
be
you draw
like,
the line.
Well, I mean, he's an
Yeah.
artist and he needs art
Yeah.
supplies, and
You need a
his,
canvas.
his people are taking care
Yeah.
of his supplies for him. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so like, I gotta say, if someone's going to kill me and, bring me back to life, I don't want to be like 90. I'd rather be younger. So that would be cool, but yeah, I enjoyed this film. I mean, I think it's a great film. I think everyone should watch it. And if you haven't watched it, you should totally watch it because it's good. And that is
Absolutely.
it.
And it's available. It's kind of all over the place
Oh,
right
it's
now.
all
Yeah.
over.
All right. Let's hear from our guest next, Gregory.
I don't know if I saw this on cable or if I rented this on VHS sometime in the mid 80s. So it's been 40 years. But I remembered that there were many scenes in this that were indelible, including
Mhm.
the acid kill, not necessarily because for the effects, but because just as I realized that one of the things that I find most terrifying in horror movies, just as Chad has his crawling hand and Bill has his monkey with a razor blade, I
just thought of that.
I am always
maybe that's why Chad's not feeling well.
Yeah.
I'm always the thing that really scares me is somebody's just doing their job, like looking at a microscope, and next thing you know, everyone they know is murdering them.
I know. Yeah, that's so
like, you know, and just like I remember that acid kill so vividly that when I rewatched it this afternoon, I was just waiting. I was just waiting for that. In my memory, it was even more mundane than what it actually is. In the actual film, it's very much like, he's about to, so they're going to take him out. But that was indelible. I remembered most of the kills and most of the sort of plot of the movie. I enjoyed the hell out of this. It's funny, as Crystal was saying, this should be remade. I was figuring out what they could do for the remake because the one that gets lost. Jack Albertson's character Dobbs, he's so telegraphed as being like, okay, this is going to be a major plot part of this film. When he rolls up to a dead body, playing big band music and steps out of his car wearing a Homburg, a hat I myself have owned and worn in the past.
But a cape,
1981, doing the whole thing, and with the waitress with the 40s look, and then when the photographer is sort of resurrected as Freddy. Right, and he's wearing that 1950s grease monkey sort of outfit with the cap and the whole bit.
Yeah.
The thing that would have been really interesting would have been like not just his vanity as an artist wanting to bring these people back and have them and see them and not have them locked away, but how great if a big part of his motivation had been like, oh, the old days were so much better. I want to go to town where it's nothing, where it was like 1949, you know? If they really leaned into that, and I was expecting them to do it, watching it this time, thinking like, did I forget that this had this whole sort of like, golden days, you know, that Albert, that clearly part of his motivation was to create the perfect, small, sleepy coastal town, as they say, right? In the past, right? Have everybody embody that somehow. And I feel like, except for a couple of touches, that kind of just gets lost as the movie goes on, and it just becomes his sort of vanity of being like, hey, I'm just so.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I thought this was great, fun. There's some flaws that we can talk about, but overall, this is. I always make a distinction between horror comedies, movies that are supposed to be very funny but also very terrifying at the same time, and just straight horror movies that have a lot of comic touches. And I feel like this had a lot of subtle comic touches throughout it that then sort of drift away as you get closer and closer. Because when the way the zombies attack everybody is both scary and hilarious. Welcome to Potter's Bluff. You know, the weird sort of mantra they have. It's quite funny, and I think it works really well in the context of an 80s movie where there's two or three things where you're like, okay, you could absolutely lose that in a remake.
Right.
You're anybody with half a brain who's seen more than 3 horror movies figures out what's going on in the first 20 minutes of this. They just don't know the how. And I greatly appreciate that there is that bit of dialogue at the end where James Ferrantino's like, what is this? And he says, call it black magic, call it a medical breakthrough. I'll take my secret to the grave. I always love a horror film that throws in a completely ridiculous, makes no sense plot device for the horror, but they make sure that they mention that who knows what it is, right?
Right.
So it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Even the audience are always like, but wait, what? You could. There's a line in the script for those people to go, oh well, we'll never know.
I guess we'll never know.
I really appreciate that. I enjoyed the hell out of seeing this again. It's great.
Excellent. Mr. Bill Mulligan.
Yay.
Yeah, you know, when you think about explanations, thank God George Romero didn't feel obligated to explain why the dead were rising, because who cares? If you're trapped in the house, you don't really care why it's happening. You just got to get out. So I saw this very early on. It went straight to HBO. It didn't do that great in the theaters, so it got onto cable pretty quickly, and I watched it. And I remember being disappointed. I watched it all the way to the end and everything. I love the ending. I do think this movie might be one of those that is remake proof. in the same way that The Sixth Sense is never going to get remade, because so much of what makes this film memorable is the ending. And if you go in
Oh,
knowing
see,
the end,
not for me. That's
See,
interesting.
although strangely enough, now watching it a second time, and this was the second time, I enjoyed it a lot more. Now that I knew the ending, I could actually appreciate what's going on and follow the rhythm of the film. It didn't open well though, because as I'm watching it, that opening scene, I'm like, this is the grainiest film I have ever seen in my life. It looks cheap. It looks like everyone's being attacked by angry hornets. Why did they make this movie look like crap? But that goes away after that first scene, so I don't know what that was all about. And then they kind of settle down, and the movie doesn't have a lot of bright colors and all, but it does have this sense of dread. They really captured very well this. There's something off in this town, and you're going along with the journey with this character, and there's something sketchy going on with his wife. He obviously suspects he's having an affair. Oh, he should be so lucky that she's just having an affair. And none of it makes a lot of sense, but I really did enjoy it this time. I was actually surprised when Dead and Buried is like, yeah, I guess it's been 40 years. I'll give it another try. Well, I'm glad I did. I enjoyed it a lot more this time. Just appreciate it for what it is. It's not. So the other thing, you were talking about the special effects. Stan Winston, one of my heroes. Stan Winston should have used this movie as his calling card, like his resume reel, and show the acid scene, and then say, "This is what happens when I'm on a film and I can't make it that day. This is the kind of crap you're going to get."
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Someone else has to come in.
That Winston didn't do, right?
Right.
Okay.
That's, there's the mark of a great special effects guy. You can tell when he wasn't there.
Yeah.
The rest of it is pretty well done.
Yeah.
Very, very effective. And yeah, this is a creepy little film that kind of gets under your skin. And I really like Jack Albertson. Watching it again this time, and also knowing, which I didn't know the first time I watched it, that he was very close to dying himself. I imagine might have been aware of that fact, which kind of adds an interesting element. It's a good performance.
Yeah, didn't he die just a couple days after?
Yeah, pretty quickly. So it's got a lot of cool things in it. It's not a perfect film, but it's an interesting 80s film. I think it's very much an 80s film, and definitely worth seeking out. It did not do very well and doesn't get mentioned much, but it's everyone who I, going over the reviews, before I do this, I see what did other people think about this film, and an awful lot of folks find it and like, where's this been? How come no one ever talks about this? So give it a shot.
Yeah, agreed. I think I saw this on video cassette in the 80s, but I'm not exactly sure. But the first time I saw it, I was sort of like, I didn't get it. I got it, but I didn't. That's okay. But when I watch it now, it just blows me away. The effects are phenomenal. We'll talk about at least a couple of specific scenes that good luck telling the real person from the effects. And Stan Winston did. He just really wanted to put everything into this. I like the performances. Yeah, I thought it was creepy when she said that line that you said, Crystal, when she pulled that dirt over her face. That was something that was creepy about that. Maybe I'm a little more worried about being buried alive or something.
Yeah, that makes
love
sense.
Jack Albertson. Love the whole take on him. He pulls up in this big boat. I think it was a Cadillac, wasn't it? And he's got his own kind of special lights on it, and you can hear him playing the music coming down the road. And I think he's wearing this fancy pinstripe suit with a. Did he have a cape?
He was wearing a classic 40s suit with not just the boutonniere, but with a top coat over his shoulders.
Yes, that was it.
Yeah. And a Homburg. And like they were just like, okay, yes, this is clearly this guy is going to be very integral to this guy's either going to be the secret hero of this movie or he's the villain.
Yeah, and when he comes up to the first death there at night, he hands the sheriff a blanket, and they just know what to do with it. They go lay it down
Yeah.
for him to lay down and look at the body so he doesn't get his suit muddy.
Yep.
I don't know. I was so
Right.
great. So anyway, I like the ending. I like James Ferrantino. It kind of felt like it was over the top towards the end, but on the other hand, learning what he just learned, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was just fun, and there's lots of interesting stories behind this. So we got a ton of stuff to talk about here. But before we do that, before we talk about these,
Oh yeah. Okay.
Of course.
even though Chad's not here, we're
Why?
still gonna do taglines with Chad, as played by Gregory Crosby.
Okay. I should, as Chad always does, do a ridiculous accent, but
Do Chad's poet.
I know I
Gregory
can't. No, I can't
poet
do. I can't do Chad's weird Percy Dove tonsils.
Okay.
And I don't. I'm not going to mangle a Southern accent, so I'm just going to play these straight. Your first tagline for the movie Dead and Buried is, "The creators of Alien bring a new terror to Earth."
So we start off with a lie. Yeah. Okay.
No. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which we will explain momentarily.
Hmm.
The movie you must see if you dare to look. Yeah, that's
Wow.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
El Generico.
This could literally be on every horror movie since.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh.
Now, this next one I think is the best of this lot. Potter's Bluff is a nice place to visit, but you don't want to die there. That's
Okay.
It's
That's
the
at
best,
least-
but yeah, it's not
yeah.
great. But yeah,
not
it is
great,
probably
but
the
it's
best.
out of this, because the
Yeah.
next one is the writers of Alien bring a new terror to Earth. I love these long pauses in between.
Just one word. There's only a one word difference from the first
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That didn't fix it.
And then possibly the worst tagline in the history of taglines:
Uh-oh.
a new dimension in horror.
Oh. If it's
And
not a
used
3D
how-
movie, you're not allowed to use that one.
Yeah, or not even. It's not, it should be like a 4D or 5D movie. And only maybe it's even in 7D. Then you can say
Yeah.
a new dimension in horror. Really.
Mhm.
And that's it.
That's all.
Well-
Chad, you missed it. There weren't very many on this one.
Yeah.
And
So that's
Do, do, do.
been
Oh.
taglines
Oh, no.
with Chad.
Here we go.
Dad's our hero, cool and rad. With him reading taglines, they can't be that bad.
Mm.
Yay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yay.
I feel
And
something
now we
like that
move
in
on.
Hans Crystal's dreams.
Ugh. I just wish I had done it faster. I feel like
Guys, Chris, you complain about this every time.
Yeah.
I know.
You do it.
And I love
That's
it
good.
every time.
I know.
Yeah.
I should.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
just
you don't have to
time.
redo it, but you could redo it. You
I
have
could.
the technology.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the music. The music would have to. There's a whole lot that goes into this. The background. I'd have to redo
Well,
the background.
I could just take it and speed it up 10%.
And she'll
And
sound
then
like
it would
one of the
raise my.
chipmunks.
It'll raise
Yes,
my voice.
yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Chipmunks.
unless it's
Alvin!
speeded up digitally, it might not. It might
Oh,
not.
yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
all right. Here's the poster we all see.
Yep.
And I remember this very well. And
Yes.
the reason I think this probably did well on VHS is I don't think I ever visited the horror section of any video store back in the days of video stores where this was not on the shelf.
Absolutely. And it's a
See,
great poster.
I never saw this before.
And this
ever.
poster
Crazy.
was not made for this movie. There's an artist, and I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but this was one of his paintings, and they said, sure, let's use it. And good choice.
Dario Campanile.
That sounds good.
Campanile? Oh, that's what you put on the
Yeah. So
label, but
yeah, it's good stuff. It doesn't have a lot to do with the movie, but so what? It's cool. It's pretty. It's
Mhm.
neat. And
It's not
definitely
great. I
effective.
mean, it's a perfectly fine title, but I mean, a better title would have been like, Please Bury Me.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yes. Yes. Where was I in 1981? I was
Yeah.
in junior high. Thank you.
Well, they weren't taking advice from junior high people, but
I know, but
Well, this was-
if only if they had.
Well, you would have come up with a better tagline. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
As would we all.
This was also the cover of the novelization, which came out before the movie and was on the bestseller list.
Oh,
Oh,
Do we know who wrote the novelization, Jeff?
Chelsea Quinn Yarbro.
No. Chelsea Quinn Yarbro
Yeah.
of Saint Germain vampire fame.
That'd be the
Should
one.
have had Anne Rice's place in horror culture, but didn't.
Yes.
wow.
Wow.
Yes.
One and the same.
Okay.
We've done another movie
anyone-
that she wrote the novelization of. I think wasn't it Nomads? That didn't
Anyone-
have a
Oh,
whole
yeah,
lot to
yeah.
do with the movie.
Anyone
that was a
listening to
wise
this,
choice.
listening or watching this podcast, if you want to see how you properly do a vampire chronicle, go find Chelsea Quinn Yarbro's Saint Germain series of stories and novels.
Yes.
They're great.
why is it not popular?
Yeah, well, it was. I mean, when I was
It was, but it wasn't. It wasn't.
I've never heard of it.
Right.
when I
Yeah,
worked in
well,
the, when I,
it was something that was just a genre thing that only people who knew about, and Anne Rice instead broke through with a lot of the same ideas. So,
when I worked in the
I
bookstore,
love
she had
Anne
tons
Rice.
of
I
books.
read all.
We had a lot of them, and she, I think there's like 15 of them.
yeah, no, they're very
Something
good.
like-
And you
something
read,
like that.
and I remember reading Anne Rice and thinking like, oh, this is what Chelsea Quinn Yarbrough did, except Anne Rice is much more successful.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
wild. Because I have no idea who. I'm like, oh, this
Yeah.
is.
No, she's great. They're a little more literary. I think that's probably the real reason. Chelsea Quinn Yarbrough's stuff is a little more literary, and Anne Rice is a little more fun and trashy.
Well, and part of it too is like, I mean, let's be real. Like, it's I don't even remember. I don't know when Anne Rice's books came out. I read them a little after or whatever. But I'm thinking age. Like even still, when I started reading Anne Rice's books, I was like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
So
The
a lot of
age
that
really
is-
yeah.
you saying that makes a lot of sense. That I would maybe be more prone to go with something that's a little bit more.
And it's
Not
not-
young,
I'm not
but-
throwing shade on Anne Rice. I'm just letting people know because
Mhm.
a lot of people who love vampires are not familiar
Right.
with those.
Well,
Oh,
and
I'm totally interested to read those now.
they span history too, and it's she's really good at that too.
Okay, what is Chelsea?
Chelsea Quinn Yarbrough, Yarbro.
BRO
BRO. Thank you.
Okay,
She's
from
great.
a guy who shelved many a book.
Is this the only poster, Jeff?
No, we have other posters,
Oh.
but I wanted to make sure we covered her, and I believe I was just looking real quick. She is still alive and is 82.
Wild.
I don't know if she's published anything recently or not. I'm not going to go that far, but all right. So Bill's got a couple other ones here.
whoa,
Oh,
wild.
Straight out of an EC comic.
Yep.
That's
We
great.
got the needle in the eye, a typical montage.
The Asian market wants all the high gore.
Did
porn.
anybody else find when he's in bandage that way completely, and all you see is his mouth, his eye? That
Yeah, it's
he's
spooky.
terrifying.
Mhm.
Yes,
He's
of
the
course.
victim
Oh,
here.
you know what? It,
He's so
you know what it
scary
reminded
looking.
me of? It reminded me of the Metallica video, where he's like, oh God, what is it? Where he's like trapped in his own body based on the is it a Twilight Zone episode or something?
Which?
Cheese and rice, y'all. There's a Metallica video where the
Oh,
dude is like trapped in his own body. He's in the hospital and he's wrapped
asking
all
the
up in
wrong guy.
bandages.
Right now,
And-
Chad is screaming at us that we're
Yeah.
all.
I
no.
know Chad knows
Yeah.
it, but
Well-
like, and
And-
it's,
and-
it's based on a Twilight Zone episode or something, I think. Or a
and before we
movie,
go
I
too
can't
much farther,
remember.
it's. I think it's important to know there was no real person inside that.
That's amazing.
What?
That
Yeah.
entire thing was prosthetic, a robot. Special
What?
effects.
You're
Yes.
lying.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
What?
Isn't that
No.
crazy?
No.
So there's
way,
no actor in that
way.
scene at all, even before.
There is not.
What?
Winston?
Yep.
Oh,
I see.
Yeah.
are you
No kidding.
serious?
No kidding.
That's what you get when you
Yes.
get the days that Stan
That's
Winston can show up.
crazy. Like,
That's why that is so unbelievably creepy, because there was this whole weird uncanny valley thing that
that's
Mhm.
so
I was completely
interesting.
was not thinking to, but at the same time, I'm like, oh my god, this is
His eye
is
looks
horrifying.
so real, moving around.
Yeah.
Looking,
I
looking
never
scared.
He looked,
even
he looked like
considered
a
it wasn't
terrified
real.
actor inside all those bandages.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hoping that
And
this actress
Stan
doesn't
Winston-
accidentally drop the syringe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stan Winston was a little ticked because he wanted it. I'm trying to think when to talk about this, but what he wanted was a continual shot where they're showing him, you see the face, and then you see the needle go in without a cut. But then the director cut it.
And apparently that also happened with the acid scene, that they told them this has got to be a continuous shot. So they're like, okay, we'll do the best we can. And then they edited it. And it's like, if we knew you were going to edit it, we could have made this look a whole lot better.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's, you don't always get what you want, but it still is very effective. And knowing in hindsight, everyone, director, producer, Stan Winston, cinematographer, all said, there's nobody in there.
Amazing.
This isn't like a legend or something. It's and in fact, we're jumping ahead, but they filmed that scene in reverse. So he drilled a little hole in the eyeball and put the hypodermic in to make, because he wanted to make sure that the nurse put it in at exactly the right angle.
That didn't even occur to me. I've used that trick myself a few times. It's perfect. That's exactly what you should do. Yeah, that's really smart.
All right.
Great.
And one more poster.
Can I just point out, these are Japanese posters, yes?
I think so.
Looks like the same kanji.
Because it is not at all surprising to me that the Japanese would pluck out that specific image from this movie from the poster.
Yeah.
It is so J-horror coded.
That's true.
It's just of course they made that a huge part of the poster. That's amazing.
I always love posters that literally give you the last shot in the film. It's like, wow, okay, thanks.
May I say something really quick? Okay, the Metallica video is called One, and it is based on the film Johnny Got His Gun from 1970.
Oh God, dang!
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Got it.
They used that footage and like him being trapped in his own body. That was terrifying to me.
Now I get you.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Sorry.
Thank you for Googling that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was like, I gotta know now. I can't.
And that is terrifying.
Glad to have our team of researchers aboard.
If that ever happened to me, I would ask all of you, as you love me, to sneak into the hospital room and decapitate me with a shovel.
Well, not before we use.
Give me a bunch of shrooms.
Not before we use you for some scenes.
Film it. I mean, film it when you do it, so we get to use it. Obviously, I thought that went without saying.
A bunch. Well, I want to talk a little bit before we get too far into this, because I don't think we have. Well, we do have something on that. So let's look at the director first, Gary Sherman. Yep.
Now, when I mentioned earlier that there was a huge surprise to me looking things up earlier today. I did not realize at all that this was the same director of Deathline, which we see here under its alternate title on the poster, Raw Meat, which is a fascinating early British 70s horror movie, which also, come to think of it, is very disturbing and horrifying, but has a bunch of comic touches, especially with Donald Pleasance's police character and a lot of the stuff that happens. It really has in some ways the same atmosphere in terms and tone that Dead & Buried sort of has. So that was fascinating to discover that. But it's also at the same time completely different.
Right. Raw Meat's one of my favorites, and it's one of those ones. It's like, what happened to this guy?
Yeah.
Why did we not get more out of him? And I don't know.
Yeah, and then he didn't do another movie for 9 years.
Well, I blame later on. I blame everything on Poltergeist 3. So
I liked Poltergeist 3.
I know, Crystal. I just said that so I could get that reaction from you. I literally just trolled you just now. My apologies. It's my first time.
Even more embarrassing, I like Wanted Dead or Alive with Rutger Hauer.
Oh wow.
Oh, I like that too. I mean, that's a good movie though. Rutger Hauer.
I've never seen Lisa. What is Lisa? Does anyone know what that is?
I haven't seen it either, but it was the only other one that I thought was kind of in the thriller.
Yeah.
Looks cool. Though.
Now, it may have been this movie that burned him out, because this movie was so dicked around with by the distributors.
Flirtatious teenager with an eye for older men gets more than she bargained for when the handsome stranger she's pursuing turns out to be a serial killer. Okay,
story of my life.
Right. Basically, the plot of Joyce Carol Oates, Where Are You Going? Where Have You Been?
With Cheryl Ladd and
I just had to throw in every possible professorial literary reference.
There you go.
I have to make up for mistaking Edmund Gwenn for a different actor in the last.
Oh yeah, Bill probably doesn't know that.
Yeah, you'll see that. You'll hear that when them drops.
Them comes out
All right.
tomorrow, actually. So this is a big long explanation, but they talked about it, but they didn't specify it. And in this detail here, they specify the movies. But Gary Sherman in the commentary says, 3 different companies own this. So one of them had it when it was pre-production, another one had it while we were filming, and then a different one had it in post-production. And the different one that was fairly consistent in the first 2, I think, but the last one just really, they're the ones that messed it up and said, no, we need more action and graphic gore in here. So we're going to switch the order of things and add a scene or 2.
Was the empty house, the family in the empty house, was that an added scene? Because
it was not added, but it was changed. The order was changed.
Yeah. I have to say that was the one part of the movie that felt that somebody else had come in and said, what are you doing? Where's the classic people stumbling around an obviously empty and creepy house, even though no one would actually be doing this in real life scene?
So the hitchhiker.
Oh,
right?
The hitchhiker. Oh, yeah.
The hitchhiker.
Oh, yeah, the girl.
In this movie, in this cut, comes after the family in the house. But you see the hitchhiker in those people in the house. It was supposed to be the other way. It was supposed to be the other way around.
Okay.
You don't see her very clear, and that's
I didn't notice her.
Gary Sherman says, I told him that's not going to work. They're going to, no, nobody's going to notice that.
Yeah,
So,
well, they were right. I didn't notice.
Honestly.
And
Although
then
they did that because that's when she's dead, that's the one we see reanimated. And it feels like at that point in the movie, you want to see like, okay, well, where you want to have the scene of like, okay, well, how are the zombies coming back? I kind of get why you might have that scene where it is in the cut that we watched. Thinking, if I remember.
And then, I think it. I don't know. Anyway, when the fisherman gets killed, the drunk, that had more gore to it. So and Stan Winston happened to be there for that. Like when the guy comes in with the harpoon and slashes back and forth, that wasn't in the original cut. They just and then but he did that. And then of course the scene where the doctor dies with I guess it was acid. I don't know what the point of that was, but anyway.
The point was to freak me out and made me remember for 40 years.
You did.
It was the one kill that was indelible. The way he says, "What are you doing? That's acid." It's just like, oh my God, dude was just trying to do his job, and now he's having acid in his nose. Isn't that life?
Yep. Movies make you believe that a lot of people have bottles of acid around just because. How many times is like in The Blob, the doctor's like, "There's a bottle of acid over there. Throw it on the blob." It's like, what are you doing with a bottle of acid?
We have 2 syringes full of acid in the hospital.
Doesn't everybody keep a lot of bottles of acid around?
Well, maybe I should start. I don't know.
Especially in the hospital.
Well, no, you can't keep bottles of acid around, Bill, because the cats would just knock them off.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're absolutely right. That's how I go. That's the end of me.
For sure.
So yeah, he went a few years, but he was pretty bummed about this, and at some point his producer got him to just go, look. He was getting ready to sue or something, and said, "Let's go make another movie." And they made Vice Squad, which is apparently a pretty good movie. I have not seen it, but I'm going to go search that out.
Well, with them like Vice Squad, how can it be bad?
It's not horror, but it's very violent, I think.
Right. I think that one made a ton of money, this one didn't. So yeah, don't sue over.
Well, and that's one of the reasons it didn't make a lot of money, because you had 3 different companies, and it started out being sort of a dark comedy, and they wanted to make it harsher because, hey, it's the 80s,
right?
Just in those few months, all that.
How many times do we hear that the production company decided to screw around with a movie, and how many times has it actually resulted in a better movie? You think they would learn?
Oh yeah.
They just wake up. It's like, oh, I got an idea. I had a dream. Let's make this a silent musical. And you're like, that doesn't sound like a good idea. Yeah. And they're like, no, look, come on. I believe in it. And of course it bombs because it's a horrible idea. Yeah. Just stop. Let the creators make their creations.
Well, and even better, they destroyed the original director's cut. And according to Sherman, Avco Embassy loved his original cut, and then It had a more consistent mood, I think, all the way through the film.
That's a
Um,
shame.
I mean, that explains some of the. I mean, some of the parts that I found very sort of that it explains a lot. That it was.
it does. It
Exactly.
does.
Yeah.
All right. So written by Ronald Shusett and
Mhm.
well, now this is
Mm-mm.
interesting
Mm-mm.
because the original trivia in here information says Dan O'Bannon. What's the word I want?
Disclaimed any
Disclaimed.
Disavowed.
Yeah.
Disavowed.
Disavowed this movie. But there's a sequence of him, an interview with him on the Blu-ray, which happened probably 20 years after he disavowed it, where he's like going, well, yeah, we were friends and we worked together on Alien, and he wanted me to help on this. And so he said, what I did was more of a script doctor thing. I didn't really write that much. And then when he wanted to put my name on it, I was like, no, you take credit. I didn't do that much. But then I kind of understood why he wanted to be able to say the creators of Alien or the
tagline.
So I decided it was okay. And it's okay. I didn't have a lot to do with, I didn't. But so anyway, I don't know.
It doesn't feel like a Dan O'Bannon movie to me when you compare this to, say, something like Return of the Living Dead.
It doesn't. But so he either mellowed and made up with Ron Shusett, or because he could be kind of a prickly.
He was a prickly
character.
Guy.
Script doctor sounds about right. You can just sort of helped, here and there.
But yeah, so what do we have here? The Bleeders. I don't think I've seen that.
That looks cool, though.
I haven't. It's a nice poster. Of course, Total Recall was great, and King Kong
Obviously.
Lives. Total Recall was
not
great.
so great.
Yeah.
And then didn't we do the Final Terror? Didn't we do that?
No, we did Final Warning.
Oh yeah, something final.
No, I think the Final Terror is. I think the Final Terror is one of those movies that popped up on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh, so
that's fun.
I'm not. I may be mistaken. When you're a fan of this stuff, it all begins to blend together after a while.
Yeah, it does. That's why I tell him, I'm like, God, I can't keep it all straight. Like, I can't keep names straight of the movies. I'm like, wait, which one is that? Ugh.
So
listen, hey, Gregory.
Was a B movie and not a cheesy 80s song. I would totally believe.
Yeah, Gregory, you're worried you got an actor's name wrong. I was once on a panel at Mysticon where I must have spent 5 or 10 minutes talking about Meg Ryan when I meant to say Meg Foster, and nobody in the audience, they're all looking at me like, I did not, because I was so sincere and I was not in doubt at all. I was totally wrong, but I was not in doubt. And
they're both named Meg. Let's face it.
Not the same person, as it turns out.
No.
Oh well.
Some people probably didn't realize, though, to be honest with you. I might have been. It depends on my day,
It's like, damn, Meg Ryan's got a lot of range. I did not see her at all as Eva Lynn. Wow.
Well, Total Recall was, that was a
huge hit. Oh yeah, big time.
We're just trying to see the box office on that. $120 million domestic gross.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
$261 million gross worldwide. So anyway, probably one of the first Philip K. Dick based movies, I think.
Yeah. It was.
All right. So there was some other people involved in this. So originally, two guys named Jeff Millar and Alex Stern wrote the story that this is based on. And according to Shusett and O'Bannon, they were fine with letting them do the screenplay. So I have no idea.
Story credit.
How that went.
Someone was paid something.
But there was multiple people. That's the way that works, I guess.
Yeah.
A lot of times. All right. Onward. Well, we have Mr. James Ferrantino.
Okay, can I bring up something that is really, again, I saw this movie 40 years ago. But in addition to the acid scene and several other scenes, and especially the opening scene, my memory of the final line of this movie because what Albertson says in that bottom shot is, "Let me fix those for you." Right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
In my mind, the final line of this movie, which I would have, if you'd asked me any time in the last 40 years, what's the final line of 1981's Dead and Buried? I would have said, "Here, let me touch those up for you."
Hmm.
Oh.
I completely rewrote that line in my memory, and I thought, "Oh, that's such a great final line," right? When you realize that he too is dead.
I
right?
wonder if you were because I kind of remembered it the same way.
Did you?
I think I was sort of thinking of another movie that had a similar but much more comedic premise. Death Becomes Her.
I
Oh,
love Death Becomes Her.
yeah, no, absolutely. Maybe that's what happened is that when I saw
Yeah.
Death Becomes Her, something in that obviously brought my
Because they
mind
keep
back to-
Bruce Willis has to keep touching them up, and I think that's the term
I
they
think
use.
you know what? That's probably that. Bill, that's a great catch. That's probably exactly why when I then would think back on Dead and Buried,
Yeah.
I would replace that line because it's a better.
Maybe those would make a good double feature, by the way. That if you want to be creative.
Yeah. Death Becomes Her is a great movie.
Oh, it's a fun
Oh
movie.
God, it's one of my favorite movies.
One of Bruce Willis's
Ever.
great underappreciated performances.
Crystal, you should
He has to
cosplay.
He has to play the sort of
Like the Isabel.
He's very
There
good.
was
Yeah.
there was a woman last year that cosplayed the Isabella Rossellini character at Dragon Con, Bill. She was in the bathroom with me. If you'd been with me, I would have pointed her out.
We
But
totally
Did
could
she give
make
you did she give you any tips?
we could
She-
do
it
Goldie
was
Hawn
awesome.
with you.
I would love that. Would be so much fun, and because I've seen the way that they do it with the red
phones,
T-shirt,
yeah.
with the whole, with the like hole. I'm like, oh my God! And then if we had a blonde to do the head for Meryl Streep, it's such a great movie.
It
Like
is
that's
a lot of
one of
fun.
my
Underrated.
honestly, yeah, totally. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, thank you for clearing that up, Bill, because I was when I watched this afternoon and thought, wait, that's not.
That does make sense though. That you could combine them.
That final line, So yeah, it's a great. Either way, it's a great ending. It's a nice.
It
I
is.
think
It's
it's a memorable
memorable.
twist ending.
Stuck with me
So
all these years.
Ferrantino was in a couple of Night Gallery episodes, one of which was The Girl with the Hungry Eyes, which is based on it's a Fritz Leiber story, I think. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Well, he's very intense in this movie.
For those of us who grew up mispronouncing it. So.
Yeah. He plays it straight. He's good. He's good in this.
He was in the Final Countdown. He was also in Jesus of Nazareth. He played Simon Peter.
Ah.
Oh.
But he had a bit of a checkered.
He had some runs with the law that probably held him down.
Like what kind of runs? Like, what was that about?
Well, he was charged with stalking Tina Sinatra.
Yikes.
Frank Sinatra's daughter. Now, apparently they had been dating at some point. And he was arrested in Vancouver, British Columbia in 1991 when the Royal Canadian Mounted Police intercepted a package containing 3.2 grams of cocaine.
Ooh, ouch.
Sent to his hotel room.
Was he somehow related to Linda Ferrantino? I could look this up.
No, that's I think, is that spelled the same? I thought that was like Fiorentino.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But it's pronounced Lieber.
Right.
Yeah,
Not Liber.
And he was married to Elizabeth Ashley and Michelle Lee and et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, I think he does great on here. I mean, you get to that scene at the end, but when you realize, I watched a movie of my wife making love to somebody and killing them.
Yeah.
And then they show me the shot that I'm the guy she killed.
Yeah.
It's a great reveal. And the whole, when he comes back from the cemetery and Dobbs is suddenly just flicks on all of those projectors with all of those.
Yeah. That's a great
scene. Like, oh my God, you're like a supervillain. You just stumbled into the layer and you just now, unveiled the entirety of your mad plan. It's a great moment.
That is actually, I have to admit, that's probably why I didn't really love the movie that much the first time I saw it, because I'm pretty damn face blind and I didn't catch at first that it was him in the movie.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That's how bad it is.
That's funny. That's funny.
So let me
actually.
ask you this: did you notice that what was the other two? The photographer that burns up in the car. Did you know it was him right away when he turns around at the lunch counter?
Oh, hell no.
He's the gas station guy.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Listen,
Well,
if
I'm
my
asking
wife,
Bill because of his face.
Oh,
No,
Bill.
no,
yeah.
no.
Oh,
If-
okay. Yeah.
if my wife put a wig on and walked through the door right now, I'm like, who is this stranger in my house? Trust me.
Bummer.
Admittedly, though, if they're in the
Okay,
background,
I hope your wife doesn't hear that bit because that's she's like,
could rob
really.
Well, the other one was the little kid, the kid in the family.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He's in the classroom afterwards.
Oh.
But we already knew they were coming back, so it's like,
Yes.
because the one dude's like, I saw him, he's alive again.
And the drunk.
Yep.
The drunk that gets harpooned there, he picks up the hitchhiker.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the pleasure as the movie goes along is when you're waiting to see
Mm-hmm.
people you know are dead. Suddenly, like, oh, just here we are. Like when the doctor, like he bumps into the doctor, and just like, oh, yeah, there.
Well, I thought that when he was drunk and staggered around that dock, that was like the greatest ad lib drunk I think I've ever seen. Because
well, I love how
watch,
he sings the song to the hitchhiker after he picks her up because you don't see his face right away, but you know it's him. He goes into that ridiculous song. That's a very nice touch.
I felt bad for the hitchhiker. She was so cute. But
well,
listen,
did you see
ladies,
how cute he made her though?
I know. But if you get into a truck with some creepy old guy and he immediately starts making dirty old man jokes,
Oh,
just
I know.
open
How
the
do you know
door
I'm
and get
not
out.
some weirdo?
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah.
Nice talking to you.
That's 1981 for you.
Yeah.
I guess part of the confusion with this is it's like they have no freaking real they have no standards. Like anyone who passes through town, they're like, "Come join the club." I kind of feel like I I don't know. I mean, what if you don't want that person? What if they don't vibe?
Well, and that's again, if you did a remake of this, it would be fun to have something that emphasized the fact that Dobbs becomes greedy. Because if you really wanted to turn a whole town into zombies, you wouldn't want outsiders. Disappearing outsiders, somebody's going to be looking for them.
Because people are going to it's going to just create all sorts of
but
problems.
But I think they did that way, so initially you're thinking that it's that subgenre of Children of the Corn, small town paranoia. You've just gone into the worst possible small town, and this is a small town that kills everybody who stumbles into it. Right? Yeah. They're playing that up, but really, it's that Dobbs has not thought that through.
Would you consider this a kind of folk horror?
It could be.
I've heard it.
If it was like a thing that had been happening in the past, but if it's science, no. So because we don't know enough about it, I don't know that you can say one way or the other.
Well, she does give her little witch.
She says that. I know that they have the heart hidden, but
the whole thing about voodoo is interesting because when you realize that she was the first one he brought back. I actually thought that somehow she that it was not that, and that she was somehow the voodoo priestess.
Oh, that's what I thought too.
Forces with Dobbs to do this. And then when it's revealed that no, she was the first one, it was like, well, that's interesting. And so is Dobbs just being very meta? I mean, like, I brought her back, but now I'm also going to make her an expert on voodoo to give it to let the audience know, because that's where that great line comes in. You guys call it black magic. Maybe it's black.
Well, she's the one that brings back the hitchhiker, right? He walks out the door, and the door swings open, and she comes out.
But we don't know that, though. No, we don't know that. Just she goes up and just pets him. But we don't know that what Dobbs did to her was what did it, and it just took a little bit of time.
It's supposed to be but it's very suggestive that somehow she's integral to the process of bringing them back. Yeah.
But we don't know that, especially because because she's not the one that brought back herself.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that's a great scene. The way that scene is shot.
With that shot.
Right, when Dobbs closes the door and there's just that, and then you see
and then she just rises.
Okay, do you have that on?
Right.
Yeah.
Let's do that here. Let me see.
That's a beautiful shot. She has such a cute little nose.
Yeah.
Well, this too, that middle shot of the hitchhiker, it's very sort of like, but it's also perfect. It's perfect this is the character that you want to see him recreate. Perform his art on. because she.
Well,
is so
have you
cool,
noticed?
you know?
Have you noticed like
It's
what
really
he
good.
did? He had his murders actually like intentionally. I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah,
intentionally
they had to be.
Yeah.
damage them more, so
Otherwise,
that
it's
he
not a
could
challenge.
rebuild them.
And
That's
take
why at the
pictures.
beginning he's complaining about the old
Mhm.
lady who dies because it's like, she died in her sleep.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
Who cares?
so
Like, did you also realize that the old lady who died in her sleep? I think she actually got buried. I didn't think.
Well,
I
yeah,
didn't
that's
bother
what
to
I.
bring her back
But see,
because
that's
there's
what
no
I'm
challenge.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
for
Right.
him, I think he's
Yeah.
obviously. I think he's the one doing it. I don't think it has anything to do with well, for one, we also technically don't know it was her in the jacket. We don't see her,
Right.
but I think it's whatever he is doing in his process. That's his thing.
Mhm.
I don't know if he's injecting them with something. It could be a serum, like Death Becomes Her. I don't
Doesn't
know
matter.
if
Say
it
you can
is
call it-
Right.
Maybe it's black
his
magic.
voodoo,
I think it's a
whatever.
combination
Yeah.
of black magic and some kind of thing.
well, it's a.
and
It's
they
a
leave it, and I think that's always great in a horror movie because then you can have it be what you want it to be.
Mhm.
Right, like we're all like we are now. We're like,
Yeah.
well, what about this? Mhm.
okay.
fun.
I want to talk about this scene.
Yeah.
The special effects.
It's really good.
So
Mhm.
yeah, that's her face in the mill shot,
Yeah.
and then he starts to cut away the flesh, basically, right? It's
Mhm.
and then you move to, let's see if I'm getting the right one here. That the one on the bottom,
Right.
and well, it actually goes. You get a skull, and then it starts building up layers, and then putting skin on, and the hands in that shot are Stan Winston's.
Mm.
Oh.
Because he
Winston?
wanted it to look like what it really looked like when he's
Is
really
that Winston doing the model right there?
yes.
Yeah.
So it's his hands in the rubber glove, in the latex gloves that are doing it from the top, right? When you're seeing that,
Mhm.
then, and that's the dummy, right? The special effect. Then the way it looks like it happens is the camera raises up and you see Dobbs, who has stepped around to the side. And at that point, they had him on a track, and the model slides out and the real body slides in.
Mm.
Mm.
And
Clever.
then
Mhm.
and you see he does kind of, it doesn't, you can tell it's a little awkward. He kind of raises his hands enough, I think, to clear the head or something that's came. But anyway, I thought that was really cool. And what was really spooky, and I know you got this here if I can find it. Too many of these. So it must be this one, the last one.
Mm. With the
That
eyes.
When you're looking at her in that shot,
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's the real person. That's got to be the real person. Then he hooks
Oh,
that
no.
thing over her lip, and I'm
Uh-huh.
going, oh, it is the real person.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, but wow, how could she stay still? And then he does it to her eye, and I'm going,
Man.
and then you find out, no, it's not
That's
the
not the
real
real
person.
Yeah.
Oh
it's-
my
I,
God.
well, I
that
can
was
tell
fun.
by the skin texture. Like that's
Well, in this
That's the
shot, I
only
can
real
tell, but when I
difference.
was
Yeah.
watching it and he pulled on the lip and he pulled on the other
Mhm.
eyelid with the eye in it, I couldn't
Yeah.
tell. I was.
it
that was
still
well
looks
amazing.
really good. I mean,
Yeah.
especially for the 80s.
It's amazing.
Like, come on. Yeah.
Looks great.
And he talked about how important it was to get that right, that he literally wanted every eyelash to be crazy. All right. So let's actually Jack Albertson.
Yep.
Jack
Chico and the
Albertson.
man.
Willy Wonka.
Man,
Oh yes, Willy Wonka.
I didn't know who that
Yeah.
was.
He was the grandfather, and he was one of the reasons Kolchak got canceled, because Chico and the Man pretty much kicked its butt in the ratings every single week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
But he was a good actor, and apparently he was dying of cancer during this movie. He died a few months after the finish of the movie, but he did get to see the premiere. But by that point, he was in a wheelchair on oxygen. He was in pretty bad shape.
Yeah.
Well, and this is weird. In the commentary, and I got to try to find where I wrote this. Oh, okay. So, yeah. So it doesn't make sense. Gary Sherman's commentary literally said he died a couple days after finishing his looping. He came back in to do the looping, and they had dinner together. And like the next day or two is when he died. However, he died on November 25th, 1981. The official sort of film release date is October 9th, 1981. At the same time, I mentioned that there was a bunch of different ones. It says special screening May 29th, 1981, September 4th, 1981 in Tucson, and November 18th, 1981 in LA. So I don't know if that was a special screening he made, or if he saw the November 18th one. They all knew he was sick, but I'm not sure that they knew how sick. And in fact, it was obvious, it's like the stories you hear about everybody from Edward G. Robinson to wherever, like when it was time to be on, they had the energy and the volume and the tone, but as soon as they were off, then it took it out of him. And so there was actually a story about James Ferrantino that Albertson fell asleep in one of their scenes. And Ferrantino freaked out and ran off set to his trailer. And the director followed him and thought he was mad at Albertson and was going to explain. And he said, no, my father died while I was talking to him.
So he triggered, he like had
It
PTSD.
triggered that, yeah.
Oh my God, that poor guy. I'm glad he wasn't upset because, but geez.
Understandable.
Yikes. That's
he's great in this.
Oh my God, that would suck.
One of the, in the fantasy remake that you might make this, one of the first things you'd have would be like, okay, who would you cast to play Dom?
Yeah.
Who would you get to bring to the role?
To play this character?
Yeah, to play Jack Albertson's character.
And see, the guys, the people, the final producers didn't get the whole 40s big band stuff. They kept wanting to cut that music.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that Sherman got them to keep in.
Yeah.
So I agree with Gregory.
Character,
I agree with Gregory though. I think that if this were made now, it would be more obvious that there's this whole vibe. Because I kind of missed it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I didn't notice it. And so I think now it would be more obvious and the music would make more sense and everything would all,
if you remade it now and had the same notion of like, oh, I want to go back to the golden days, now it would just be some boomer. And
totally.
Just have a lot of he'd just be walking around with like, with Moby Grape blasting out of his corner man and like, what's with that guy?
Yeah, it's really kind of I don't know what you call that. It reminds me a little bit of when John Wayne made The Shootist.
Yeah.
Kind of about the death of the gunfighter, and this is his swan song, and it's about.
And you got to. I always admire actors who do it to the very end. I mean, poor Boris Karloff just getting out of his wheelchair, sucking on some oxygen, saying his lines, and collapsing back down his wheelchair. It's like, dang, that's.
And Karloff's last movie being something like Targets, where he literally plays himself.
Right. Right.
Icon
you can bring stuff to the role, but he's really good in this. And the fact that we loved him in Chico and the Man and seeing him, it's always kind of cool when a character who's known for playing kind roles or comedic roles, if they can pull off a menacing role, it can really be effective,
Yeah.
Well, he's really into it too, because he's built into his character these kind of flourishes of the hands and motions when he's talking. That's just really, I really dug it.
I mean, I just want to point out, as someone who for whom sartorial issues are always in the foreground of my mind, this gentleman is wearing, in that middle photo, he is wearing a special rain thing on his Homburg hat to keep the rain off.
Yes.
Very good.
That
perfect.
That is a man who knows how to dress right there.
Mm-hmm.
So there
that was very cool.
Yeah, he looks great. He's a great character.
Okay, and of course, Dan Ferrantino's character was married to Melody Anderson.
Now I know her from
I was Gordon. That's where
that's what it was. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Recognize her.
I remember that, but I don't.
Very hard these days when I watch a movie not to look at my phone to look somebody up and wait until.
Yeah.
But all through watching it this afternoon, I thought, okay, I know this actor.
Yeah, me too.
Where I know her from. Flash Gordon.
Was she
obviously? Yeah.
I'm sure Bill knows this, but that was a huge movie when they were making it, right? Lots of news, lots of
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
Kind of bombed, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It
Flash
underperformed.
Gordon bombed.
It did.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
Oh.
big
Well, terrible. I don't know, because it flew under my radar. Let's put it that way. But from their point of view, when they got her in this part, that was a huge get.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Because she was big in the news about
Right.
working on Flash Gordon. So
I
And
saw
she's-
Flash Gordon
yeah.
on the big screen just before the lockdown. Actually,
It's beautiful. It's
Oh,
ridiculous, but
yeah,
it's
it's one of the
beautiful.
worst-
And
it's one of the worst scripts with the worst dialogue you've ever come across. But it's so much fun. It looks
Yeah.
great. It's ridiculous, but it's great fun.
it's come
just-
to be appreciated over, and the Queen soundtrack, everybody hated it, and now we love it. So
Oh no,
some,
it's the best part.
some
really,
movies
it's
just take time to.
Yeah, it's just a really
tell you.
terrible script. It's a kind of
Sam
script where like we're
Jones,
doing
too.
we're gonna like it's a kind of script where it's like we're gonna camp it
Ooh,
up,
she's so
and it was
pretty.
like you should have played it straight.
She's very
Like-
cute, very pretty.
She's very pretty. But
and-
Sam Jones, too, by the way, y'all, is one of the nicest people ever.
Yeah, that's
okay?
true. That is true.
Like, I mean, I was so bored and he was very kind to me. And I don't think it's just because I'm a girl.
No,
Maybe,
I've been
but
told
I don't
Sam
think
Jones
so.
is a really
He's
cool
very
guy.
sweet.
That's
Yeah,
good.
like he was very, very nice. Like, so I gotta say that upped Flash Gordon in my brain.
Mhm.
I've always liked Flash Gordon though.
Yeah.
But Flash
Well, I
Gordon's
mean-
always been such a huge deal since, I remember
Max
my
von
brothers loved all that
Sydow,
stuff. you know?
Topol,
Oh, yeah.
Timothy Dalton. There's a lot of
Who was the bad dude? He was so awesome.
Max von Sydow.
Max von Sydow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pathetic
The-
earthlings. If you knew what the universe had in store for you, you would never have flung yourself
Oh,
into it.
good.
Anyone who can play The Exorcist and Ming and be totally believable in these two completely opposite roles is
But
pretty
with that
amazing.
hair, how cool
Yeah.
did he look? Oh
No,
my
it's great.
god, he was so.
How did
spooky.
I miss all these movies? She was in a movie called Hitler's Daughter.
Oh, damn.
boy.
How did I miss that?
I don't know.
She wants, and imagine that Hitler's daughter wants to occupy the White House. Okay, sound crazy?
Oh, wow.
It could
Well,
happen
sounds
now.
right.
That's for sure.
Ripped from today's
Ripped
headlines.
from the headlines. Yeah. Anyway, she's not.
I
she's a-
think she was great. I love that scene, that shot in the middle when she's in the classroom
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
witchcraft and voodooism.
Winners
I
on
think that was
Okay.
great.
I did too, but here we go. Yeah, she's dead, but see, she showed plenty of personality. So
Mhm.
see,
Yeah, she's
Like,
a little
yeah.
different. Yeah,
yeah.
Well,
they make a comment about how they only know
Well,
what he
but-
tells them to know, but she's more.
But
Yeah,
the
yeah,
waitress
no.
had a personality too.
Yeah.
Because she actually played around with, I'm sorry, kid. Oh, beep, beep, beep,
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah, so it
I
doesn't
will
make a
say
lot
they
of
were
sense.
Kind of,
Yeah, it
Yes.
doesn't. The personalities of the zombies who were brought back
She-
don't make a lot of sense. But
she
at that
doesn't-
point in
yeah.
the movie, you don't care.
I'm
doesn't
fine with
play like
them
a dead
having
person.
a personality. Okay, it's
She
just
plays like a cheating wife. She's got an instant answer for every,
Look at
oh,
how
da, da, da,
beautiful
da.
she
She
is.
just lies like a dog on a rug.
She's
And
not.
then-
She's not super great in this, but she's fine. I do want to point out though that she's got great outfits, and I think
look at how beautiful she is.
I
Look at
think
that.
Jeff, put something in the notes about how
She's
Sherman
beautiful.
purposefully didn't want any red
Yes.
Yes.
Really?
anywhere in
Yes.
the costuming or in the movie to give it that sort of like gloomy sort of
The
feeling.
main
So
the main
Well,
place
that
there's
makes
red
sense.
is in the opening scene.
Yeah.
Lisa Blount is wearing a red blouse, and after
Yes.
that,
after that, it's like the color's been drained away, which again contributes to that feeling of like, oh, this place is dead.
well, she said too that there's that one when he shoots her, she really jumps, and they said that there was a squib that actually came loose or something and flew up past her face.
Hmm.
Oh, I was wondering why she reacted near her face. She reacted
Yeah.
like here.
Interesting.
And I was
Interesting.
like, why? I was like, that's where she just lost some of her skin.
Yeah, that
She didn't get shot there.
that scene
Okay,
where
that
she
makes more sense.
that scene where she comes back in, she's carrying the packages, and she's wearing this amazing hat and this cape and this whole outfit. Daphne, if you're watching this episode, I would love to hear.
Yes.
I would love to hear your comments if you've seen this or watched this on Melody Anderson's costumes in this movie, because
I'm sure she's
and then it makes perfect sense. Not only is she more stylish than anybody else in this town,
she
but of
really
course
is.
she's super
That's true.
stylish because who brought her back? Jack
Oh,
Albertson.
that's
His
true.
Style is preeminent, right? It's like it's that I love that. It's the kind of that attention to detail, even if you're not conscious of it the first or second time you watch a movie, I love that. I love that.
I mean, look at that. She's wearing a cape.
Yeah,
okay?
it's great.
I'm all about it. I love it, but
Capes need
that's
to come
not
back.
like small town teacher wearing a cape.
No, right. That's
Right.
what I'm saying. It's like nobody else in this town is, and I felt like even the doctor looked a little more stylish when after he came back. Right? He's wearing a cool.
Oh, he
look.
did. He was wearing a
There
hat
you
and a
go,
jacket.
Redrick. See, that's
It
what
was
it
just
needs.
like-
It needs
that's
that
what we-
like people
it-
change.
A remake would absolutely have to like play up like, nope, when I bring you back,
Right.
you're not going to fit into my aesthetic and my reality, and bring back what I want to bring
Ooh.
So you guys probably
But then
noticed
it's like
this.
a Stepford Wives type
Yes.
thing
Oh,
too.
yes.
Yeah.
But they're not robots. They're dead people.
Did you guys notice? I didn't notice this, but except in hindsight, it's very, very subtle. Several times during the movie, James Ferrantino's scratching his hands.
I didn't notice that.
Oh
I
no,
Yeah.
but
did
that's
not notice
interesting.
He
that.
he comes in and sits
Oh.
down at that table
Because
in
they
the
were-
diner, and he
Huh.
doesn't do it.
Yeah.
It isn't. It's very unobtrusive. He just does it a little
That's
bit. And then
brilliant.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
cool.
Clever.
it's really
Clever,
it's
clever,
it's
clever.
really kind
So
of
it's
amazing,
making me
I
like
think.
this movie more and more. Like
It is. I
actually.
mean, the detail to this. Well, let's look at Robert
Hey.
Englund.
Yeah,
As,
Robert Englund. Before
Robert
he did,
Englund, and you threw up one of Robert Englund's greatest performances.
There you
Roger
go.
Corman's
I mean,
Galaxy of Terror.
Countdown to Hell.
I
is
thought it'd be
about
obvious to
begin.
put up, but we all
Galaxy
know
of
what he
Terror.
did later on. But he started, like all actors, started out making stuff.
Can I just say he's great? He is great in Galaxy of Terror.
Oh yeah,
He's a good actor. Like
He's a
I've
great-
seen
I mean,
him
but
in
I mean,
several things.
we're
that I
gonna
thought he
do
was good.
Galaxy of
Yeah.
Terror one day.
Oh, you absolutely have to do Galaxy of Terror.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be a double tap because I'm pretty sure they did it.
Oh, did they? Oh, okay.
in the
Well,
old one, but that's
whatever.
we're
okay.
good with
Whatever.
that now.
That's old
right.
Grue Crew.
We have
That's
gotten
right.
several
True.
comments saying, "Hey, we're good with
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
the second one, especially when
Galaxy of Terror is.
We're done.
I made that comment. Galaxy of Terror. I actually watched that after Corman passed away because I thought, what are a bunch of Cormans that I've never ever looked at that he either produced or directed? And this popped up, and I'd never seen it, and I had great fun with this.
Yeah.
As cheap as it is, it's enormously imaginative in many ways.
Yeah.
And it's got, I'm blanking on her name now, but she was later on Twin Peaks. Grace.
So yes, Sabinski.
Grace
She-
Zabriskie.
She plays
Oh,
she
yeah,
plays
yeah,
the
yeah.
captain in this, and it's like that. I remember seeing it and thinking like I could watch the
She's
entire movie just
so
about this character.
creepy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
she-
love
she-
that actress actually.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, she's been in. She's good in everything.
Everything.
Big
Galaxy of Terror.
Love. She was
Mhm.
so good in that.
So he does a good job in this too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's fine.
It's
Oh,
I love seeing him
good.
act now because now he's sort of become Freddy / the horror icon.
Yeah.
And you seem to get variations on that
Right,
in most
right.
of the things I see now. So it's cool to see this stuff while he's still getting different parts. And
I just-
that's
I-
fine,
I-
you know. But
I just think of him in V. That's all I think of.
Mm-hmm.
in what?
V,
The
the TV
V.
show. The
V.
TV
Oh,
Yeah,
V.
V.
Gotcha.
V.
Gotcha.
V.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's why I said V.
Sorry, V.
Yeah.
Visual aid.
Mhm.
I remember he was really great. It was one of the best things about V.
He was. He was so
Robert Englund.
sweet.
Is there anything
I
you
like
want
that
to
he was the good guy.
say
Sorry.
about these, Bill?
No, just that. Although it reminds me, I'm very fortunate to be friends with a supremely talented makeup artist, Sierra Ayers, who lives in my town and is not just a makeup artist and a musician, but she's also a mortician. And looking at this reminded me of some of the tales that she has told me, because she's such a good artist, such a good sculptress. People who have absolutely no need to be an open casket, but that's what the family wanted. And you literally have to strip off the skin, reconstruct the skull, put it back on, and try to make it look good. And you got to be real talented to do that. And she pulls that off. And I thought that watching this, it just made me think, oh yeah, she would really appreciate these scenes.
Yeah, Dobbs gets offended when he says, just throw some makeup on the dead people.
Yeah. Oh, no. There's so much more. A dead body doesn't look good.
No.
You need to do a lot of things to get everything not sagging and
Bill, you're saying that
My-
you're saying this is a friend of yours. Have you checked your hands lately, Bill?
Okay. Sierra could have made me look way better than I look right now.
So my
Crystal?
neighbor is a mortician, And he's an older gentleman, and he's been doing this for a long time. And he said the key to actually make, and a lot of people don't do this. He said so many people don't do it. It's my secret. Is the embalming fluid color that they use actually okay? So most of the embalming fluid that you put into people it keeps them looking bad, but he tints it. And then it gives the person color, and it almost that he said that takes care of like 50% of your issues, because the skin becomes when someone dies, the blood goes out of it. So he makes it a certain color where it looks like, isn't that wild? I think that's cool.
No, that makes sense.
That's a cool.
That's wild, but not as wild as the fact that somehow, Crystal, you wound up living next door to a mortician.
Oh yeah, I know, right?
That was probably
he's
the selling
so
point
normal.
for
He's like way more normal than me.
That probably
He
explains
thinks I'm
why
a big
Crystal
weirdo.
looks so good for so long. It's like,
Yeah,
it does.
Here we go.
So so that was Dobbs when Dobbs gets shot. That's what he does, right? He's sticking the trocars in there with the squirting the.
Yeah.
Which that could be totally done really cool too. You know, like. Honestly, this movie is such a neat and cool story, and it's told well.
I'm glad to see we've all
well
liked it more than I anticipate. Hey Jeff, I hate to say I'm gonna have to leave in a little bit. I won't be able to stick around for comments and everything.
Let me talk quick here, if you can, Bill.
Sure.
The cinematographer, Steve Poster. So he talked a lot about the stuff they did. So that opening scene where he's out taking pictures and it's in the sunlight and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And you talked about it being kind of hazy and
rainy.
That's what he was trying to do. The whole thing, the whole point of the movie was to make it, he called it diffusion. He wanted it to look really diffused. And he lists a bunch of different filters he used.
Yeah.
I was going to write them down, but I just decided that'd be too Jeff.
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate the first time I saw it, but now, and maybe having gotten into filmmaking afterwards, now I can see where they were going.
So two other things they did was they had a 40-foot by 40-foot silk sail that they or flag that they put up to put them in shadow when it was daylight out.
Right.
And they also had a lot of smoke in almost all the scenes, even when they were inside, and Fuller's Earth. That kicked up, I don't know what that did, kicked up dust and stuff. And apparently that's one of those things they find out later you're not supposed to breathe in.
You're not supposed to breathe in. Yes. Yeah.
Whoops. So anyway, so that was one of them. And you can see in that opening scene when they're getting ready to come for her, all of a sudden now they're in shadow. You can see bright sunlight on the cliff behind them. They're out in the open on the beach and they're in shadow. And then the other thing they did was the kid, it was against the law for the kid to work at night, and all of his scenes were at night. So they put a huge tent up over that house and the car, a huge tent.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm just like, oh my God. So they shot day for night, that whole scene of the family in the house.
That's amazing.
It's so much easier to do it now. I just think about like all the different ways we could do that. So much easier.
And the last thing, Bill, was he really tried for, if you probably noticed this, but I didn't notice it until this time through. There's a lot of camera movement.
Oh yeah, the camera, that shot, like Gregory and I were talking about.
There's a shot where she comes home. Melody Anderson comes home with that big stack of boxes.
Yes.
And you see that it like follows her back and then into the house, and you see her open the door. How did that happen? They said the camera was attached to the door, or the door was attached to the camera, and they moved back, and then they had these like quick release things or something that when it got to the door spot and she fumbles for keys, the crew is out there unhooking it from the camera and hooking it to the hinge. So then when she opens it, it swings in.
Wow.
And you had this solid shot all the way through. And it was supposed to track that she's talking to him, and then she decides she's got to go to PTA and leaves the house. It was supposed to track to the window then and see her get in the car and drive out. But instead, the guys that bought the movie at the end, what's all this? It's taking too long. We got to cut some of this. You know, they had these great artful tracking shots
That's a shame.
They got cut. There was another neat one where they're when the eye gets stabbed, the doctor and the sheriff are sitting on couches on the opposite side of like this hallway.
Yeah. And when you
talking, and you can see down there, and it's just cool. It's weird. It's just cool, and you could you can see the light because it's kind of hazy or foggy. And while they're talking, you see that nurse walk in, and go into the room. Then you see her stab him. With the needle, and then you go back to the two guys in the two shot, and you see her kind of scurry out and go, and then you hear the scream. I don't know. I just thought that was amazing.
It's not surprising because think of all the tracking shots in Deathline.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, there's a great
and
shot
then
in that.
The final one that seems really weird is they actually had to put tracks in like the side of the car, because there's a scene where James Ferrantino is sitting at the gas station and another car comes up and opposite him at the gas station, and you're looking at the car, and then it fades back and pans and see him sitting in the car. You know, at first you see the windshield frame and stuff, and then pan back. I don't know. I just thought that was just
Gary Sherman loved a tracking shot.
Cinematography was great. Okay,
So
sorry, Bill.
no, but thank you all. I really got to go.
Okay, Bill, have a good one.
Yes. So enjoy the comments and everything. I guess the next one is Blue Monkey. Oh boy.
Yes.
Blue Monkey.
Oh boy. Yeah. There are no blue monkeys in this movie, Crystal.
I kind of thought so.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this one either.
It was a real shock when I went to see it. But anyway, it was great seeing you all. Gregory, it was great talking to you.
Always
Sorry
good
you
to
had
see
to
you.
go.
Bill.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, but take care. Okay.
Yeah, take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye, Bill.
Okay, now we can talk about him.
Yeah, right. Like,
I kind of had, at least we've talked about most of this stuff. I mentioned I had that picture of Michael Pataki, who of course was in Grave of the Vampire.
Right.
Bill Quinn, who played the guy that had the film developing.
Yes, I recognized him.
He's a huge character actor. Barry Corbin was in one scene. He might have been in more, but I only recognized him in one, who ended up being in Twin Peaks and a bunch of other stuff. Now he's still going strong. We talked about this guy, Bill Hansard, when we did, what's the one with Stacy Keach and Jamie Lee Curtis in Australia? Road Game. Yeah. When we did that one, we talked about this guy. Bill Hansard is like, apparently everybody knows he's like the guy when it comes to rear and front projection, any projection stuff. And so he helped him with all that stuff, all those weird shots in the mortuary, right? With all the black and white and the film, anyway. So he was involved in this. He apparently helped set up their rear projection they used in Australia for having the truck rolling down the highway. That looked really good. The music, Joe Renzetti, who won an Oscar for Buddy Holly's Story.
oh,
Which I don't know how much original music is in that, how that goes, but he actually, this is kind of, I like that opening theme that kind of sets this sort of peaceful sort of.
Very appreciated how the music in the opening made it seem like, romantic 80s movie. Here comes the saxophone. Right.
Oh, here's the dude shot. Yeah, on the rock.
It very much set the tone that is then shattered.
So I think I've covered everything I wanted to talk about.
It's great. It's there are things you can sort of quibble about, but overall it's highly enjoyable, I think.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think it would be great to see what Sherman's original vision was.
Yeah, it's too bad that the original cut is lost, but I don't think it doesn't feel mutilated necessarily.
No.
But yeah, you always wish it.
The one thing that feels really out of place is the one thing you remembered.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit the other effects.
Yeah. But it's still horrifying.
Yeah.
Just sitting there looking at my microscope, and next thing I know, my friends are pumping acid into my nose. No fun. No.
Yeah,
what a horrible way to die too. Like it's kind of mean to kill these people in these ways.
Very horrible.
Did you notice after they did that to him, and so then after he's revived and he sees the sheriff on the street?
Yeah.
He's talking to the sheriff, and at one point the sheriff grabs him by the shoulders and kind of squeezes him, and you hear kind of a squishy noise. Did you notice that?
I didn't, but
no,
again,
I didn't.
Those little details.
He gets kind of a look on his face, and I'm thinking, ooh, I wonder what came loose.
The worst example of somebody just doing something normal and suddenly just murder happens. Have you ever seen The Addiction from 1995? Which is
Uh-oh.
So The Addiction.
Is it a horror movie?
It's a horror movie. It's a very art house vampire movie with Lily Taylor in it.
Maybe I have.
I believe it's an Abel Ferrara film.
Okay.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Well, there's just a scene there where it's just the grad students are just like having a party in someone's apartment. It's just a very normal, people sit around talking at a party. And then the vampires just lock the doors and start eating them. Like no preamble, no sort of it was just sort of like, you're having a party. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, imagine you're at a party, you're just chatting with somebody. And next thing you know, people are just like sinking their teeth into other people's necks. What? I find that stuff particularly horrifying. Just doing one thing and then suddenly it's like, there's no, Anyway, that's just my personal idiosyncratic quirk.
All right.
I hate the movie Funny Games. I just think guy just shows up to borrow something. That's you've got a homicidal maniac beating the hell out of you.
Right.
Like,
right.
What?
Those are freaky. There's another one similar to that I forget the title. I was thinking it's maybe Addicted or that is one of Larry Fessenden's first films.
Oh yeah.
That's real freaky. Anyway,
it's a great film. Dead and Buried. Recommend.
Dead and Buried. Recommend too.
I watched it on Peacock.
Yeah, it's on Peacock. It's on Prime. It's on Tubi.
Prime, I think.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We got to and go listen to the the other version of this. I'll let you know what episode it was before we get off. But we have a ton of feedback, and I mean a ton.
Yes.
Quite a bit. So, episode 238, The Nest. And I love this from Pain in the S.
Oh, that's fun.
That's fine as long as he's not an asshole. Crystal, would you take that one?
Yeah. I saw the movie in 87 or 88. I was 17 or 18 back then. The scene I still remember is the good-looking female biologist sticking her hand into a terrarium filled with the roaches who proceeded to eat her hand, and she looked very much like sexually aroused by that. Hilarious. Okay, it's been a long time. It already feels like that's been forever since we've seen it. It's almost 40 years ago, mind you, but this is what and how I remember it. I mean, that's true though. You're not wrong.
Yep.
Okay, I mean, I never forgot it, but I had forgotten the title. Lo and behold, I purchased it on DVD for €5 a couple of minutes ago on I'm a Dutchman, marketplace site. Hey, Dutchman. That's cool.
What did that
I saw
come
the
in?
pic. Yeah.
That's
I
German,
saw the
but
picture.
okay.
Well, we're American. We don't really understand things like no, I'm just kidding. Or that's what people think, which is not that far off, probably. I saw the picture and thought, this could be that movie. Quickly looked it up, saw a pic of Crazy Doc with her bloodied hand, and yes, oh yes, that's the one. Mine. That's fun.
That is
Cool.
Love it. I'm just looking stuff up because I'm such an idiot.
I'm like,
Well, I looked up
Yeah.
Dutch, Netherlands, Belgium,
The Netherlands, Holland.
Mhm.
Holland. Okay,
Netherlands,
Yeah.
the Netherlands are they're very far away. The Netherlands.
Yes.
The
but we
Netherlands.
love it. We have a few followers in UK and
Yes.
Europe, so it's cool. I appreciate you chiming in. Pain in the ass, and I loved your name. Episode 266, Extra.
Mikey Z.
Mikey
You
Z.
want to do this one, Jeff?
Gregory. Can
Sure.
you take that one?
And I'm not going to do a Mikey Z impression. Where do I begin with this one? This is another WTF from the 80s. More tangents in this film than a DOH podcast.
Yeah.
Definite alien ripoff, or riff-off, actually, but set on contemporary Earth. Alien abductions, psychically created toys that come to life that kill. Panthers that come from where? Little people who come from a child's mind. A really troubled child's mind. Crystal called it. The kid was another creepy kid with a little trauma-induced motivation, but the script goes off on too many paths to sustain his trauma. Nice to see future Bond girl in a revealing role. The overall acting didn't do it for me. This film feels so much like a Charles Band film. I remember this one from the video shop days. I thought I had seen this, but no. Fortunately for me back then, unfortunately for me now. The birthing scene was very good. Everything else after this was just too WTF for me. Too many hands in the script, too many drugs in the script writers. The credits say this film was produced by Mark Forstater, more like produced by drugs from Columbia.
Oh God, that's true.
This
I
is
think
the
this is a
same thing.
repeat.
Yes. Great to see her
Mikey.
join the Grue Crew in this one. Love all
Yeah.
you guys. Great podcast, but woof on this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, Mikey, you're not wrong. You're totally right.
By the way, Dead and Buried was episode 86.
Episode
and
86.
was released in July 2016, so it's about 8.5 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
All righty. Appreciate that. And Mikey, I'll do this one, episode 273, Without Warning, from Robert Baker. Finally, this one has come. It took me forever to actually see this back in the day. I had one of those 42nd Street Forever trailer compilations that had this preview on it. I wanted to see it, but until Scream Factory released it, you couldn't find a copy of it anywhere. It's a fun movie, and the cast does a pretty good job. I also remember thinking, this is kind of like an early version of Predator. Finally, glad it finally got covered. And did I just see Terror Vision is finally coming? Can't wait for that episode. Yay.
I never made a comment, but I did watch Without Warning after listening to the episode.
Yeah.
It was great fun. I like horror movies where the beloved character actors from TV shows get killed off in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Storch was such a dork, dude.
Larry
Storch. That was so funny.
Yeah.
Okay. On to 274, Terror Vision from Buzzbrain 76. Crystal, could you take that?
Yeah, one of my favorite comedy horror movies of the 80s. I can see why. As I remembered, I rented it at a strange gas station video store. Is that what? Is that real?
No, that's real.
Come on, that sounds like the start of a bad horror movie already. Okay, took it home and or maybe a good one. Took it home and recorded it on another tape and watched this over and over again.
Okay, now wait a minute. I'm glad I'm not the
what?
only one that did that. I used to rent it. I would
dubbing a tape or something.
Yeah, when you first rented VHSs, sometimes you could rent a actual player because
that's
a lot
true.
of people didn't have them yet. So I'd rent a tape and a player, take it home and hook it up to my player and copy the movie. Now, where are those videotapes? I imagine, I don't know. I did a lot of them. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh no, that's okay. I'm
watch it over and over again.
Thinking about how now you made my brain hurt because I'm like, how does that work? Do you have to actually play the movie and then record
you
it?
Play the movie and you have the out going to the other player and you're recording.
You would dupe it from one VCR to the other.
Yeah.
Okay, but you have to actually play the whole. It's not like it's like you can just transfer the information.
I'm sure you could.
No. It was very analog. You had to watch the movie and then it would. Yeah.
That's what I thought. I was like, how does this work?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries.
I'm like, I'm stupid with that. Okay, yeah. Another tape and watch this over and over again. I think it's brilliant, hilarious, and bizarre. Yeah, it is. Just love some of the overtop acting and the innuendos. I'm glad I found this channel. I see you posted this 3 days ago. Before this, I watched the podcast on the Lost Continent. Then I saw this. TerrorVision didn't get the credit it deserves. I agree. Rotten Tomatoes sucks. They gave it only 10%. It really only has 10%. That's crazy. Screw them. They don't know classics. Totally agreed.
That's right. We're with you, Buzz.
That's wild. I can't believe it's only 10%. It's okay. Yeah. They gave the Movers Adventureland. What's that? The Movers Adventureland.
I think they gave the movies. The movie.
Oh, the movies Adventureland. I don't know that movie. I'm sorry. And 89% rating, and that was a piece of crap. So I don't know it. So I totally agree. It's a piece of crap. I'm with you. I wish more people could see TerrorVision and the jokes, but I'd probably like it secretly. Like one of you people said, show it to your grandkids when they ask what the 80s was like. Yeah,
sure,
totally.
sure. The 80s were exactly like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Totally. Mm-hmm. Why do I keep saying totally? Too much. Yes.
Greek. It was
radical, man.
All right, I'll do this short one here. I'm going to do the next two because I want to kind of edit that. Emulous 79. I remember hiring this out on VHS as a kid, and it was part of what warped my little mind.
What does hiring this out mean?
Well, I think he means renting, but I think he's from.
Okay.
I think he's from UK, and so
I'm sorry, God.
I think we've had somebody else said that, use that phrase.
Yeah, so it's kind of salacious. We've been hiring out these VHS.
Yeah, that's what it makes me. I'm like, okay, I'm missing something.
And this one is ACT 4C3 on YouTube 20.
Act 4C3.
Act for C. Yeah, I can't make names out of it, but anyway, appreciate it. I am a fairly long watcher of Gruesome Magazine's YouTube channel, 3+ years, but first time commenter. I'm a huge fan of TerrorVision and wish they would release a remastered 4K version.
Absolutely, I want to own it.
And then going down, additional comment, a huge fan of Decades of Horror movie reviews. I am an old guy, really, really old, and a fan of the 40s, 50s, 60s horror movies, especially the creature features. So I do love the DOH content. For example, TerrorVision, The Blob, 1988. Just missed the new movie reviews, and he's commenting that he misses Gruesome Magazine is no longer there.
Yeah, with the new
and well, Doc told me he replied to that, the rest of that information. So,
but Gruesome still does publish new reviews, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, on the website. Yeah,
on the website. Yes.
Yes, in fact, Gregory has.
I wrote a couple, so I was like, "Wait, what is he talking about?" There's still new reviews, but there's no new podcast.
This is our last feedback for today.
And Gregory gets to read it.
Gregory Crosby, 3325 on.
I need to time these things better.
TerrorVision.
All right.
It just always works out that way.
It just really does. Yes. You can save all the opera responses for next episode.
Yeah.
All right. I stumbled upon this whilst channel surfing late one night long ago.
All right. Just a minute. Just a little direction here. Make sure you use your Gregory Crosby voice.
Oh no. Okay.
I couldn't be more Gregory Crosby voice right now if I tried. Hey, be careful. I'll slip into poet voice and then you'll really be sorry. All right.
Well, that's what Chad uses, his poet voice when he
yes.
So.
Although no poets have sounded like
no
that.
No poet ever sounded like that.
All right.
Says you. Wait,
all
you
right.
probably would know,
right? Again, I stumbled upon this whilst channel surfing late one night long ago, and having missed the first 5 minutes, could only stare in what the fuck wonder at what I was watching. And then it kicked in, and I had an absolute blast. What a perfectly deranged 80s horror comedy. The monster is amazing, as is the cast. My only complaint is there wasn't a scene when Medusa showed up back at the studio. Abrupt ending aside, this is what a friend of mine back in the day described as smart, dumb art.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, for some reason, likely because I saw them around the same time on cable, and because Garrett Graham is in it, I always associate this movie with an alien parody called The Creature Wasn't Nice, aka Spaceship, 1983, also starring Leslie Nielsen, Cindy Williams, and Patrick McNee. It's no TerraVision, but it is also wonderfully stupid. I believe there might be a delightfully dumb double feature in my immediate future.
Okay.
Yeah.
Creature wasn't nice. That sounds fun.
Do you know that movie at all, Jeff?
I'm sorry. What was it again? I was
The
looking
Creature
at-
Wasn't Nice, aka Spaceship.
No, I don't.
I feel like this is one of those movies that only I have ever seen because it was on cable. It is. I should watch it again, but it is an absolute ridiculous parody of Alien with a really stellar cast and a really incredibly dumb and fun script. So
I love that.
Yep.
AKA Space.
Yeah, I think the original title was The
Creature
Creature Wasn't Nice,
Wasn't
and then they decided that we're just going to call this Spaceship. For
Wow.
Okay, well,
reasons that make no
They
sense.
were like, they were digging deep.
Title, right?
Digging deep.
Yeah.
folks, we have several
Yes.
pieces of feedback on opera, so we're going to hold that for next time. And some fairly long and involved and intelligent ones, which are, I guess, Argento kind of brings that out of us sometimes.
Yes.
Um,
I mean, I haven't even commented on opera yet, so there you go. There's more intelligence to come.
Well, I appreciate comments from Emulus79, who has a very long comment on opera, and he's pretty much known for his one or two liners. So this is going to be interesting, or her one or two liners. So thanks to Emulus, thanks to Buzzbrain, Robert Baker, Mikey Z, Pain in the S, and Mikey. Well, I've got to make sure and move Craze over to 70 so we don't miss that. Anyway, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I forget what year it is. So yeah, be sure to send feedback. You can send it to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com or just make comments in the YouTube channel. Also, you could sign up to be one of our Patreon peeps. We have a Patreon channel, and for just a few dollars a month, you will get Decades of Horror early, and you will get, we're just about to finish up Kolchak, the Night Stalker. We covered all 20 episodes. Well, so far we've done 19, but recording the 20th one.
Including the moss creature.
Yes, the Spanish moss. All 20 of them. But they're only available on Patreon. So if you're a Kolchak fan, so every 2 weeks we'll be focusing on a specific film released between 1980 and 1989. Next up, one chosen by Chad, Blue Monkey,
Well, there you go.
1987, that stars Ivan E. Roth, Steve Railsback.
Oh, okay.
Gwyneth Walsh. She looks familiar, but I don't know the name. Susan Anspach is in it.
I don't know this movie at all. Although Steve,
I don't either.
Railsback's most famous role,
yes,
is Charlie Manson in the TV Helter Skelter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Detective Jim Bishop and Dr. Rachel Carson. There really is a Rachel Carson, though. That's kind of weird. Let's find a way to stop a giant monstrous insect that's eating people in her quarantined hospital before it procreates and spreads a deadly infection it's carrying.
Well, that sounds like fun.
It does. In a hospital. I wonder if they have acid, too.
I'm sure.
They all
All
have
right,
acid.
folks. So appreciate it. Thanks for joining us, Gregory. Lots of insightful comments.
Actually, yeah, I was reading some of them. They actually look pretty fun. So
This movie, there was a lot to talk about.
There was actually.
There's so much going on in the making of the movie, the effects, the cinematography, all that.
Truly,
stuff.
you never know until you start talking what you have to say about a movie. Think of all the really, truly wretched movies that the Grue Crew has covered that wound up being absolutely fantastically fun episodes because you just found things to talk about.
Thank you, Gregory, because, yeah.
No, I'm being sincere, Crystal. That wasn't sincere.
Thank you both.
I know. No, I'm saying thank you for actually making us sound more exciting than what we actually are.
Thanks, Crystal. Thanks, Gregory. Thanks, Bill.
Oh,
Chad, we need you back, buddy.
yeah, Chad.
So come on back.
Get well.
Say good night.
Mhm.
Good night.
Night.
Gruesome Magazine.